Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. This video is featuring the newest release from Colorado Craft Company and Anita Jeram. This is their Cinderella release. It's totally adorable. So there's 3 different sets. This last one is kind of more of like scene building, and then the little pumpkin and before the transformation, and then Fairy Godmother has the Fairy Godmother and then Cinderella transformed into her dress. And that's the stamp set that I will be using today to do a little scene card. If you clicked on this because you're only interested in the magic coloring, you're going to want to jump to around the 11-ish minute mark. But so, anywho, it's going to be a 1-layer card. Mostly 1 layer. The sentiment I popped up. But anywho, the scene will be 1 layer. And then I am stamping this down. You want to be using ink that is safe for alcohol markers if you're going to be recreating this. So I stamped it on my card base. And then I stamped it a second time on masking paper. This particular one is Eclipse masking paper, and then I'm going to trim these out so that I can mask my Fairy Godmother and Cinderella, and then kind of build my scene up in the background. I frequently like to combine ink blending with Copic markers, mostly because, well, there's 2 reasons. I do feel like I get a better blend with the ink blending in my background, so like the softness of colors blending together without as much work as it takes with Copics, but then also it saves me on my Copic ink, and like my re-inkers for my inks are pretty much the same price as one Copic marker. So that's why I choose to do it the way that I do it. Here, one thing to note, her tail kind of travels off the side of the card. I did not cut that. I wrapped it around the back. And the reason that I do that is because a cut line gives me one more thing that can possibly lift up while I'm ink blending. But if I wrap it around the back, it's not going to lift. So how did I choose my color palette? I kind of have some regrets about my color palette. I'm going to be honest. Here, I've sped this up because this video is still long. We got a lot of ground to cover. I chose it because it's how it looked in the original movie. In the original movie, the background during the transformation scene is just because you have to remember when that movie came out. Like, animation's come so far since then. But it was just a real simple kind of like woods scene that was a lot of blues and purples. And so that is what I chose. I kind of wish I would have made it a little bit brighter, or maybe add some more darkness. I don't know. I feel like it's missing a little bit of depth, but that's just my own take on it. Here, I put down the Dusty Concord and realized that it was a lot more purple than the Shaded Lilac. And so I just added Shaded Lilac right over top of it to kind of make them the same tone. And then for my darkest color, I used the Villainous Potion. I think I wish I would have added maybe some Chip Sapphire or some Black Soot just around the edges to really kind of darken it up. I think it would have made her dress look that much more dramatic to have that contrast, but I didn't, and this is where we're at. So just some things, just sharing some things that maybe I would have done differently. So I'm going to remove my masks for her. Well, I'm looking at her. So her right arm, my left, her right. I did cut out the portion in between her arm and the dress, but I didn't catch it on the right hand side. It's okay. We're going to fix it. So here, I just wanted to do a very simple background, because the background is supposed to be the background. So I'm just kind of setting the scene that they're kind of in the woods. And I'm very loosely, and I mean loosely, y'all, just doing some trees. So just, a line for the trunk of the tree and then some branches coming off of it. I started out with a very light color, the B00 or BV00, and realized that was going to be too light. So then I just moved to the next one. This is all kind of trial and error for me because this isn't my normal color palette. But like we've talked about in numerous videos, it's important to kind of push yourself and try different things. So now the next time I know that I want to do like a purplish blue kind of wood, I need to add some more darkness to it. And that's a lesson learned, and I'll do that on the next card. So ultimately, I ended up using a BV04 to do my first round of trees, and I am going to speed this up. Just because, you know, it's the background. I've given you the general idea of it. So use the BV04 to do that, and then I'm going to go in with a V17, V like Victor, and just add just a little bit more darkness. Once this is done, I will go back in, I think, with a BV02, just to add some lighter trees, just to kind of fill in that space. But this is, you can stop at any point, like whatever you're happy with. I just wanted it to look a little bit fuller, and that's why I went in, back in with a lighter colored marker. But this is a good, just kind of like basic background to know, for lots of different scenes that you don't have to do a lot of work to get the background. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the shadow underneath them. So the way that her dress is picked up, I just kind of drew like a little oval shape that would be underneath her dress to show that shadow as her picking it up. And then the one for the fairy godmother will be much closer to her feet because her dress is straight down. This, again, is trial and error. I'm messing around with a couple of different blues. Once they dried back, they weren't dark enough. So then I went back in with a darker blue, and then blended that out. I was much happier with that. But again, when we're trying different things, we have to give ourselves those allowances to know that the first thing that we do might not necessarily work. So with that said, we're going to move on to the coloring of the dresses. I wanted her little, petticoats, the little undergarments, to be white, which means I have to add the shadows in with gray. I chose to do a cool gray instead of a warm because her dress is blue and it's cool, so the tones would play nicer together. And then, as you know, if you watch my videos, anytime that we're adding shading, we're adding it to where 2 points meet and where one lays on top of the other. The other place that I'm adding shadows is, if you look at the bottom of her dress, it's drawn in a ruffle pattern, which would indicate that there would be a flow of the fabric, that there would be like pleats. And so anytime that the fabric dipped in, I added shadows there, and that's going to give me some highlights on the to make those pieces of the skirt look higher, and some shadows which is going to create the idea of an indentation so that it's going to look like her petticoat is rising and falling. I added some of the same shading to the fairy godmother's dress sleeves to make them kind of poofy, and then also to the bottom, again, to give it just a little bit more movement. So once that is done, you're going to see that when I do the coloring of her dress, it's different than how I normally do it. So normally I start with my lightest color and I work out to my darkest. When I'm coloring a lot of fabric, a lot of folds, where I want there to be a lot of movement, I find that I have to go in with my darkest color first, because I want to make sure there's plenty of light area to conserve my highlight. And again, anytime on the bottom of the skirt that the fabric dips in, I'm extending that shadow out with just a little triangle of color. And then I'm also doing a very thin line anywhere that there's a line drawn into the dress, and her bodice. So you're going to see as I'm going through each color that line that I'm adding is so thin, we are left with almost an entirely white dress, but even by the time we're out to our third color. Why is that important? It is important because you don't want to overwhelm your dress or whatever fabric you're coloring with dark, because then you're not going to have any movement. So you need to leave lots of highlight area. After I get my lightest color on, then I will go back in and extend out those shadow areas where they make more sense, but I need to reserve that highlight, especially in the small areas where there's two lines next to each other. I have to be very, very cautious about not overwhelming those areas, because otherwise I'm going to lose my highlight. So I hope that you can see what I'm talking about as I'm explaining it. If you're not understanding what I'm saying, like, please let me know in the comments, and I will try to rephrase a different way or re-explain it in a different way. But now that we're 10 minutes into the video, I do want to say this is actually part of a blog hop for their release. There are giveaways. I will link the blog hop if you're watching on YouTube, in the link below. They're giving away a stamp set for every stop on the hop, and there's a lot of stops. So that's a lot of chances to win. And then if you shop through share a sale link, which again I will link mine below, that's the affiliate link. If you shop through that link, then you have a chance to be entered to win the whole release, and that's only specifically for people who make purchases through individuals' affiliate links. So at this point, the coloring of the dress is basically done, and I want to say there is nothing wrong with the coloring of this dress as is. You do not need to take the extra steps to make it shimmery, glittery, spangly, wow, bang, boom, magic. You don't need to do that. The coloring of this dress right now is beautiful, but you guys know me, and I can't leave well enough alone. And so there are flowers that are drawn into this dress that you could accent. I chose to not really do that. I added just a little bit of shading to the flowers, but I didn't do much else to them because in my mind, for little 5-year-old Kelly watching Cinderella, her dress was blue and there wasn't any other colored accents on it. And so that is why I chose to do it the way that I chose to do it. So now for the magic part. The magic part, the glitter, shimmer, bing, bang, boom, is going to come in with stippling. This is going to create a lot of texture on the dress and make it look like it's almost shimmering in the light, where you have the highlights and the lowlights, but that they're not solid. All stippling is, and I've used this technique a bunch of other times, not just for this style of coloring, but it's just a series of small dots. So you want to be using just the tip of your marker, adding no pressure to the marker. Like when you're putting it down, you don't want to be putting a lot of pressure. It's really just the tip of it. And then you're going to put your darkest color in your most shadowed area the same way that you did when you were coloring. And then you're going to work out with your dots. You're going to work out to your lightest highlight. And each time you're going over the previous set of dots that you put down so that you can blend them. So here I missed one. I didn't add darker shading into that one area. So I had to go back. No big deal. So I'm just going to be doing a series of dots all throughout the entire thing out to my lightest color. Now you may be saying to yourself, Kelly, why would you also need to do your lightest color? And I'm going to tell you, it's because Copics are transparent. So when you put a lighter color over a darker color, it will lighten the darker color. And so this helps give you more transitions and more of that shimmery, glittery look that we're going for. So ultimately, by the time you're all said and done, this entire dress is going to be covered in dots. And there are people who hold drawings, whole portraits like this. This was a technique that was taught to me in the art classes that I took in 8th grade. That was like the only art class that I took successfully. You guys know if you watch my channel, the other one I took in high school, I failed. I failed it. We had different styles, me and that guy. But anywho, so now that all of the dots are complete out to my lightest color, which should be in your highlight area, then the next thing that we're going to do, I think we're going to leave it. We're gonna come back to it after we do a little bit more coloring for the rest of the magical look. So here, this is just like the dots will be complete, and then I'm going to move on to the other coloring. I did also use the dots for the fairy godmother's magic wand and her crown, so that way that they would have the same kind of shimmery effect. Okay, so the last time that we talked, I told you we went and did Caitlin's 9-month photos, which were very good and totally adorable. And if you follow me, you probably saw them on the community page, that just how stinking cute those pictures came out. so you get like 4 sneak peeks right within 24 hours, and then you have to wait for the rest of the photos. So that's what we're doing right now, is waiting for the rest of the photos. But then I told you yesterday, my birthday is coming up this week, and I'm going to be the big 39, right on the precipice of 40. I got another year to go. But so, because we have shared parenting, so Peanut isn't always with us. Sometimes he's with his dad. He's actually with his dad on my actual birthday. That evening, he's with his dad. So Eric was like, when do you want to celebrate your birthday with the kids? And so we chose yesterday to spend that time, because then this coming weekend, he'll also be with his dad. So this was the best time for us to make it work. And so pretty much how the birthday gets celebrated, I don't really have anything to do with it. My wonderful husband does everything. I mean, really, quite honestly, he did everything. He got up with the kids so that I could sleep in. Him and Nathan made me breakfast. We had waffles and fruit and bacon. And that was delicious and wonderful. And then he also made me a cake. Isn't that the sweetest thing ever? He made me a cake, and he frosted it. It said happy birthday, the whole thing. It was pink and blue. He was like, blue's your boyfriend. So I made the frosting blue, and then he wrote happy birthday in pink. And then he was like, I need a third color. And like, he picked brown. And I was like, oh, baby, I don't. He's like, well, we don't have a lot of options. Do we have a purple? And I was like, there is a purple in there for the food coloring. Like, to maybe shy away from the brown. Not that I would have still appreciated it even if it was brown. But it was cream cheese frosting. So it's not even like it would have been chocolate frosting that was brown. And it would have been cream cheese frosting. And he was so super cute. Like, when he went to the store, because he's like, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to cake making. Like, I followed the box directions, and then I went to the store and I bought, regular frosting. But apparently he's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So he bought like 5 frostings. So I have like 5 containers of cream cheese frosting, which I don't use pre-made frosting when I make cakes. I make my own frosting. So, I totally appreciated his efforts, and I told him, I was like, there's a bunch of other desserts, like you can make frosting cookies and all kinds of stuff. So I was like, just put them in the cupboard and we'll use them up somehow. So that was incredibly sweet. Very, very thoughtful of him to make me my own birthday cake, and it was delicious. He sprinkled it with, like, in between his writing, he sprinkled like crushed graham crackers and like chocolate chips on it to make us like a s'more cake. And it was a chocolate cake, which I totally appreciate because I love chocolate. But yeah, it was very, very cute. And then for my birthday gifts, the best, most like sentimental gift was because it had handprints on it, but really my husband made me so my son said, this is what I want to make, Mom. But then apparently he didn't really participate. So that does not surprise me. Eric got him cornered to participate as much as he possibly could, but obviously he's working on a limited timeline, and now I work from home, so he's really limited on when he can do these things. So anywho, they made me a cute little sign with the kids' handprints on it that says hands crafted by mommy. Isn't that adorable? It was so cute with their little picture on it and their little handprints. I love it. It's so sweet. And then so the way that we do it, like with Nathan, because we do have shared parenting, I always take him to buy a gift for his father, and his father always takes him to buy a gift for me. And that was something that I started, actually, before we were even divorced, first year we were separated, his birthday, I think actually was it Father's Day? I think Father's Day was like the first holiday, and I took Nathan, and then his was the first birthday. My ex-husband's birthday is before mine in the year, and so I took him shopping. And then this is just a trend that we've continued, because I think that is super important for Nathan to acknowledge the people in his life, and to, gather them gifts, and, to appreciate them, give them cards, things like that. And so nobody's going to teach it to him if his parents don't teach it to him. So we're teaching it to him. let's go back to the card. So here, I did want to acknowledge this white pen. So I like the Sakura Jelly Roll pens. Everybody has kind of a different pen that they like. I am going to outline this. I have problems. I'm going to do it. I like a bold black outline. Don't come for me. But anyway, so a lot of people talk about, like, I have a gel pen and it didn't work, or I didn't love it. And a lot of people don't realize there's different sized tips for pens. So one of the ones that I use is a 10, which means the dot is a lot bigger. And then one of the ones that I use is an 08, which means the dot is a little bit smaller. So if you're looking at your white gel pen and you're wondering why you're not getting as much ink out of it as maybe someone else's, you might have like a fine. I always buy the mediums, either the 8 or the 10, because it does put down more ink, and I'm happier with that result. So now here is to the magic. The magic is adding these little white dots. So it's the same technique that we've done with the markers as far as the stippling, but we're putting little white dots along the highlight area. And this is really going to kind of jump up that wow factor for the shimmer and the sparkle without actually adding any glitter. We're going to do that later because, you know, I can't resist. But anywho, so just putting in these little white dots where the highlight is on your dress is going to just like kind of bring it up a notch and make it a little bit more magical. The other thing that I'm going to do is I am going to add some stars or glitter shimmers around her dress and on top of it. And the way that I do that is you're just kind of creating a little cross. So I do a dot of color, a dot of white gel pen, and then flick it up, down, right, and left. And it's hard to see because my hand is right on top of it, but you'll be able to see the movements and then, you know, the result. So I don't really know a better way to film this. I apologize. I will say it's easy to go overboard with these, and I might have a hair, honestly. I might have gone overboard just a smidge. But these are simple to do, and it's something that you can add to your coloring that will really give it that magic effect. And then I also added a couple of dots. I added clear shimmer. I think I used the Nuvo one, and then dots of Stardust Stickles as well to really like pow the glitter factor. You know, because she's magic. Her dress is just turned. It's magic. So anyways, my ex-husband took Nathan shopping for me, and this is like the sleeper gift. Okay. He bought me a coffee warmer, and he's bought me a coffee warmer 3 or 4 times now. And every time there's been an issue. One of them didn't work. One of them Emma ate. And so, like, there's always been a coffee warmer issue where he really wanted to get me this gift, and it didn't necessarily work out the way that he intended. This one is pressure sensitive. So he brought it upstairs and he set it up in my craft room and he put it right where I normally put my coffee mug. And I have to say, sleeper gift win. It is. I'm using it right now. It has kept my coffee hot all day. Pretty fantastic. So yeah, Nathan with the sleeper gift, that is really not something I ever would have purchased, but it's pretty fantastic. And then Eric also got me a surprise great gift because I had not purchased it myself. I've read all of the Outlander books, and she had finally come out with a 9th book, but obviously I had a baby and I haven't had any time to read or purchase myself anything. So he got me the 9th book in the Outlander series, and so now I have something to read when I have downtime. Super excited. Great birthday. And it hasn't even come yet. So, anywho, this is the entirety of the card with the magic coloring. I hope that you learned a little something. I hope that you are inspired to give this a try. Some magical coloring. It doesn't have to be a dress. It can be anything. Make sure you head over to the blog hop for your chances to win. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.